All right, welcome to episode 8 of I Suck at Fantasy. We have our regular hosts here, what regular friends of the show, Nick and Dan. Also, as Dan just said, longtime listener, first time on the pod, first time caller, will be with us for the duration. Actually, did some insanely good prep work, which we'll get to later in the show. So, friend of the show, introduce yourself.
I'm Alex. You might also know me as just here to beat Dan in the league. So far, I've fulfilled my goal of beating Dan in the league, so that's all that really matters.
We'll see how this week goes, buddy.
Dan came out of hibernation and changed his name from week 4 to 7 weeks later. He finally updated it. He was able to get a third of his keyboard to work to get it.
Yeah, and with Berg banned on trades on Tuesday, Dan had nobody to call, so he just said, well, what can I do today? That'll help my team going forward. So, latest in the clubhouse is that Berg can no longer make trades. We will get into his team, probably not because of how horrendous it is at this point, but we look forward to seeing what Alex Collins can do on the field moving forward. Nick, Dan, any thoughts for the listeners as we get underway?
I got nothing.
Suspect though that Dan just pretty much pillages Berg's team and then
that Shaw meme was hilarious.
To be fair, any smart manager has pillaged Berg's team.
It was a gold mine to start the year.
It was like the old California gold rush. Everyone was going.
Yeah, Dan has suggested an episode at the end of the year where it all went wrong, and it's just Berg explaining to us how the season went. So that is for a later date. That will be comic relief. But let's go ahead and share the screen and get going.
It all went wrong the day Odell was born.
Actually, let me do one thing here. All right.
I feel like the name of this podcast is really only applicable to myself now, since the three of you are clearly in the playoffs. We should be changing that name up soon.
About Toy being in the playoffs just yet.
Yeah, I don't have Berg on the second half of my schedule.
We all do, so.
Yeah, we did get the luck of the draw on that one. Hey, draft day, you did not want to see his team, but now very different.
Yep.
All right. Little bit into weekly recap from last week. So who wants to take us away? Anything that stood out?
You can start with the toilet bowl between Chris and Berg. I've never seen someone so down on their team that was above 500 like Chris is. And Berg's wish came true at poker last week. He said it'd be very bad if Deebo Samuel bit him in the ass and came back to beat him. Well, how much did he put up? 27.8 was the perfect amount to get Chris the victory. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he said this will be Deebo's revenge game, to which I said, oh, I didn't know Deebo was ever on the Rams. He goes, no, I'm saying against my team. So, yeah. What else we got?
I think Dan back, just like Cam Newton, breaking through over 100, second most points this week. It's been a while since we've gotten to say that.
It sure has. And once again, you played somebody who, how many did they put up?
Hey, does not matter. I would have beat everybody except you.
Oh, okay. Under 85. Gotcha. Here's my interesting stat from the week. Just call out. Milk's team is looking like a force. He got 10 points from Aaron Rodgers. McCaffrey had 21.1 points, 0 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, 17.7 points, 0 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, 19.2 points and 2 touchdowns. So if those boys start getting in the end zone, Milk's team is a force to be reckoned with if McCaffrey is all the way back. So that stood out to me.
Ezekiel Elliott?
He's using frame of reference, just like, hey, if he got in the end zone 2 more times on top of that, McCaffrey's at a 30-something, Kupp's at a 30-something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So McCaffrey may be all the way back, and with Cam there. Also, the waiver wire might get active if this is any inclination that Toy might be picking up Cam Newton, big Cam Newton guy.
You need to.
I forget what the
I already got Tannehill though.
That is right. All right, Toy, what'd you see from last week?
I saw that Ben Molesky is apparently some kind of waiver wire god out here with his two leading scorers, Ernest Johnson and Mark Ingram.
That's a good one. Yep.
That is good.
I see he finally climbed down from the tree stand. Hunting season.
From the depths of hell. He came back just to beat you and me, Alex, and he accomplished it.
Nick was also active on the waiver playing Ramondre Stevenson, who put up 25.4 points. So I think that was the start of the week. So Nick, that is your consolation trophy. The big thing, I know it was the toilet bowl of the week, but I think that Chris beating Berg vastly changes the landscape of this league because Chris moves to 6-4. If not, he's at 5-5. And him stealing 2 wins to get in the playoffs is looking very bleak. And it leaves the door much more wide open, I think, for somebody like Nick to sneak in. Now that road becomes a little bit harder. I don't think it can. I don't think it's out of the question. But I think that Deebo Samuel going off in 27.8 is a big changing point in the season for the way the landscape looks.
I think it's kind of cool, though, that there's now 3 bye weeks in the playoffs. You got 1 seed, 2 seed, and the person that plays Chris. So
fighting to play him.
Well, you never know when Derrick Henry might be back.
Ooh.
Early. We're not gonna start that racket right now.
I got one more interesting fact. So Berg made an interesting trade last week for trading 1 running back that wasn't going to play for 2 running backs that weren't going to play. But the small part of that trade is Berg trading his defense and kicker for my defense and kicker. If Berg had not made that part of the trade, he scores 9 more points. I score 9 less points. Berg has the second most points in the league, beats Chris, and we have a whole different conversation.
You can also go back in time and say if Berg doesn't trade at all, he's probably like 8-2 right now. And
yep.
If Berg doesn't trade at all, Berg is starting Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott, Henderson, Deebo, Mahomes, and Tyler Higbee, and he doesn't make one single trade.
But
Godwin
not
is sitting on his bench.
But not Tyler Bass, his kicker. So
he is starting Young Koo.
Young Wei. He put up a big old 3 for me.
He did.
He's
not a great week. Saw you active on the waiver wire. Titans kicker officially on Nick's team. Thought about picking him up. Said I'll wait, see what happens.
He gives me for the Badger fans, he gives me Rafael Gaglione vibes where he's got a little bit of a gut. So I'm gonna give a little bit of a shout out to him, and hopefully he can get me the win this week.
Ooh, Gaglione missed some key field goals, but that's for another day. All right, power rankings. Let's move on. There's some interesting things here in the power rankings, but who wants to take us away first?
One question is, how does Nick have 2 people at 3?
I don't. Oh, wow.
He had me there. I just left it. It doesn't change your power rankings at all.
Correct. Yeah, you would still be. He was number 2 in mine ahead of Shaw.
Gotcha.
I can start since you guys are already critiquing mine, although this was on Pete. I'll start from the bottom up. I'll add that I think we're at the point of the season where it's a little bit less likely for big shakeups. My rankings kind of stayed the same. So from the bottom up, actually the bottom 4 stayed the exact same for me from last week. Berg coming in 10th, Chris 9th. I told Chris on Sunday if he had lost to Berg, he would have been 10th for me. So I'll let him stay at 9. Me at 8, and then Cole at 7. And then a little bit of movement. I actually do have our new contributor to the pod, Alex, dropping in my rankings. I'm excited to talk about the trade with you that you just made with Pete. I think you made a great trade with me to get Gibson and Ridley. If one of them hits, that's a no-brainer. But for now, you've fallen a little bit. Going up the ladder, I've got Dan at 5. He's got this stacked roster and he's still struggling to put up points. I'll say a lot of the league is struggling to put up the points. So maybe that's just the new normal, but for now I'll keep Dan at 5. I don't want him to get too big headed yet. Ben continues to rise, I bet, across the board in a lot of our rankings. He's at number 4, as he is across everyone. His team's good. It's cutting healthy. So he's got a good record. So no reason not to put him in the top 4. Shaw, I had Shaw number 2 last week. He fell 1, and then I bumped Pete up 1. So those two flip-flopped. I'm still high on Shaw. He is now facing a lot of the buys that most of the league faced in the beginning of the year. So that's why he's kind of looked a little bit on the weaker side. That should be over after this week when Henderson's on his bye. So finally, easiest one, the milk machine, the milkman, Boo Boy Magoo. He is number 1 for me. So
I'll go next. I'll be pretty quick with this. I want to highlight, 10 through 7 don't really care too much about it, so we'll skip over that. 6 Toy. Obviously we'll talk about the trade here, but on a little bit of a skid. 3-game losing streak, so not great for the power rankings. We've got some good streaks going in the league right now. We've got an L3 on Cole and Toy. We've got a win 5 on Milk and myself. A win 3 out of Dan. And then the longest streak in the league is an L6 out of Berg. So things are obviously looking bleak. He is 1-4 on the road and 1-4 at home, whatever that means in fantasy. But that's about all he gets. Here's what I think is the most interesting part of the power rankings, and why I'm actually very happy that Toy submitted his power rankings, because without him, I actually think that with him, it gives a very clear picture of where I thought 3 through 5 were. And I view their teams can perform very similarly. Without him, we have a 2, 3, and 4. And with him, it evens it out and everybody is tied for 3rd. And I think that's a very good representation of those 3 teams on paper. You could say Dan has the best team, maybe with the exception of Milk, just with the firepower that he has. Obviously, performance hasn't been there. But I think that's a really, that is how I view those 3 teams. And then Ben getting the benefit of the doubt of Aaron Jones out. So getting AJ Dillon in his flex, who, as a Packers fan, I am extremely thrilled for, and he looks just like an absolute force out there. Myself, I'm very excited about my new toy in the garage, not pun intended, Travis Kelce, and then the milk machine up at number 1. We'll get into that in the matchup later. So that is the biggest storyline I had, is the 3 across the board, 3 through 5. What?
Alex, please no videos on the side.
You can't have autoplay ads. Sorry.
All right, Dan, and then Toy.
Okay, so Nick, Peter, you basically said everything I have to say. Berg's team is terrible. Cole's team is not far behind Berg's. Chris, his only shot is that running back for the Titans coming back. Nick's team is actually surprisingly good. I looked at Nick's team. I don't know how he's so bad, but his team's not bad. And then in the top 6, I think there's nothing that I'm going to say that others won't. I think the big, will they, won't they is going to be between Chris, Toy, and Shaw for who doesn't make the playoffs. And where it sits now, I think if Shaw can pull out a win this week and Toy loses, it's going to look bad for Toy, and the same goes for Shaw. I think at any given moment, Chris can lose out. So keep an eye on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, outside of the bottom, Dan and I have the exact rankings, so you can pretty much mirror his sentiment.
You do have Nick very low. You do. That's an interesting one to me. Nick very low, but
I mean, I think in terms of where I'm thinking my power rankings are going to be more of a projection towards the future.
All right.
I think Nick's going to end up second worst in the league. I guess it could be Cole or Chris, but I think if when it goes head to head, if you're looking 2 or 3 weeks down the road, Nick's just been struggling to pull out a couple wins.
Alex, with your current schedule, you have 5 wins, if I had your schedule, I would have 7. So that's just a little tidbit for you.
You key him in on the advanced analytics.
No, I've got the
You
advanced.
guys have very
analytics on
similar
my own.
sabermetrics, but I like Toy's graphic for this one better as we get.
Oh, he's got a graphic?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
Toy, that's why I said he prepped. Any thoughts on the top 5? You spent a lot of time on the bottom 4, which once again, we are about to, we banned Berg from trades, banned from talking about them just for viewership purposes. But any thoughts on the top 5 and 6? You can throw yourself in there.
Just so the difference between myself and Dan and then you guys is obviously I've got Dan and Shaw flipped for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Dan's got more. I think his roster, despite the fact that he's been a little more boomer bust, I think his busts are have a little more firepower than Shaw's busts have.
Yeah.
Although Shaw and Dan might be busting a little early. Who knows?
Yeah, what's new?
Dan's been known to do that once or twice in his life. It'll be interesting to see. I think Shaw's team was really propped up by Jamar Chase. I still love Jamar Chase, but if he regresses, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a tough road, but I still really like his team. Jalen Hurts has been great, and Kyle Pitts is the option down in Atlanta. So those are the power rankings. We can do the quick graphic. We've got a lot of sabermetrics here. So I think this is, just gives you over time what has happened. And as we've talked about, it started to even out a little bit. So Toy really waffled in between 1 and 2 for a while. Has obviously fallen off a little bit. Ben was a big riser after the last couple of weeks. Everything that we've talked about. Then everyone else we've kind of touched on. So that is that. Let's move on to the Ass Mans.
The Ass Man with a little extra on the bottom. Even more advanced sabermetric statistics. So the ass, the AS. But yep, just an update on the top. We're all used to that. So I'll let you guys take a peek at that while I talk about the bottom. I was able to add in the feature. Now, if you were to play everyone else's schedule, what would you average? What were your average wins? What would be your max wins, your min wins? And then also the final is what's the average wins versus your schedule currently? So obviously lower wins like me, Shaw, and Berg are going to be a little bit of a tougher schedule. The main thing when looking at that one is it's going to be a little bit inflated because there's not really a great way to handle when your team comes up on someone else's schedule because you would just tie. So I just give that person a win, make yourself feel a little bit better. Everyone has a little bit higher expected wins. But it's interesting. I mean, a lot of the same storylines from the top table are in the bottom table, but it's fun to see how you would do against other schedules.
Wow, look at Ben. Average 7.2 wins against his schedule. I think that's quite telling.
Yeah, he's had the easiest schedule by far. I mean, look, I played him last week and I got the lowest score. I did my part.
So, Nick, question on this for people who need to learn a little more about math. In in episode 6, so 2 weeks ago, week 8, the reason I was pulling this up is I was at 1, and then again I was still at 1. So is that just because my zeros have hurt me so bad that even though I've beat the field the last 2 weeks, I don't get a move? I don't move at all on a 1 here.
Correct.
Okay.
You would move down if you lost. So let's say you lost and you had like the average score in the week. So 0.5, you would move down to a 0.5 lucky because you didn't get a win when you could have gotten it half the time.
Gotcha.
So that's going to keep staying the same. You should be getting, because you've gotten the highest score the last 2 weeks, you're not getting like luckier. Cause like there'd be scenarios if you weren't the highest score where you would lose. So you would have technically gotten lucky.
Okay.
There's no difference between your expected and actual win in the last 2 weeks.
Correct. So that stays the same. But yeah, I mean, kind of things staying the same though. Me and Berg being the lowest. The only other two people that are considered unlucky are Alex here on the pod, and then also Luke.
God, Luke, 7 wins and considered unlucky.
Look at those last 5 weeks for Luke. His team is stacked.
Yeah. James Conner, a found running back too, is just such a big
Yep.
victory. Cool. Any other thoughts on this?
I'm excited to see Alex graphic.
All right. Nobody else? Drum roll for Alex's graphic.
I'm patiently waiting. Hey,
Go in depth into what your second analysis was. So I've got a
Nice.
breakdown of everybody's schedule had they played anybody else's schedule. What I'd like to highlight here is that if I had played Dan's schedule, I'd be 7-3. So I don't think that he's that good.
hey.
Hey, I'm one win off that, 6-4.
I'm very intrigued on Nick's schedule. Ooh, Nick is wait. Oh my gosh. So you're telling me that Dan is 2-8 with Nick's schedule?
Yes. But he's 8-2 with Moleskis.
How do you take into account if you would play yourself that week? You count that as a loss then?
Yeah.
Okay, so I counted mine as a win. You're counting it as a loss. So
I'm a pessimistic analyst.
nice. Interesting. Okay.
Cole 1-9 with Nick's schedule.
What about Berg's schedule? Berg had a really tough schedule to start the season, and it's kind of evened out. So that inflated it at the beginning. I think I've had it a little bit tougher at the end, but easier at the beginning.
Luke's the only one who can have a winning record with Berg's schedule. Not shocking.
Yeah,
I think Berg could have a winning schedule or a winning record with Berg's schedule had he not made any trades.
Yeah. If you're going into a week, whatever we're in, 11, and Godwin's on your bench, you're in pretty good shape.
I think we might want to put a disclaimer that Berg shouldn't watch this if he's feeling down.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
We have to put in like one of those league votes on every Berg trade.
Berg's just not allowed to make trades.
You're out of it from the get-go.
Does anyone have it looks like some people have their max wins with their current schedule, right? I mean, Alex, there at the top, your ceiling would be actually Ben's.
Yeah.
But does anyone else have their ceiling as far as what their schedule was and what they're currently at?
I do with two others. I'm 6-4 on Ben's and 6-4 in toys. Once again, that goes back to losing to every team 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you just can't go over. I mean, 6-4 for Ben is the highest he could be. So Ben's got his best schedule was with him. But yeah, I love this. This is what I think like Ben's coworker used to recreate in our old fantasy league.
Shaw is 2-8 with Cole's schedule. And Cole is 4-6. That is interesting. Wow. Toy, this is incredible. Do you want to continue to do friend of the show submitted sabermetrics? We would love you forever. But this is fantastic. Any other closing thoughts on we can move on to matchup previews?
I think if you look at Luke, the milkman, he's 9-1 with both Pete's schedule and is that Cole?
Chris.
And Chris's schedule.
Wow.
Only 5-5 with mine. Not that impressive. Did you scrape the internet or did you manually put all your data in?
I put it all in.
Okay. Yeah, same. It sounded like a lot harder work to write the code.
Our league is private. You can't.
Yeah, you can't look it up if it's a public league, or you can if it's a public league.
Yeah, Dan.
I want outsiders looking in. Ryan from New Jersey.
Hey, as we start, as this YouTube snowball effect starts to take over, if we don't have it public, the public's going to be clamoring. Just like
True.
Toy in the group me if Wednesday at noon rolls around and there's no podcast.
How else am I supposed to get through my Wednesdays?
I know.
We got to turn this into an MP3 or a podcast on Apple Podcasts for you still.
I know.
I mean, I'm usually walking around listening to this, but I can't lock my phone because it's on YouTube, you know.
We're in talks to get a similar Spotify deal as Dr. Joe Rogan.
Anyone know
Wow.
if Milk actually listens to this? Milk, if you're watching right now, say something in the group me.
Probably at like midnight, right? When he gets up. Or when the office shuts down and he's still there grinding, he throws it on loud in the office. I mean, hey, gets you through your Wednesday night waiting, knowing Dan's on the other side of the podcast.
Keep going, Luke. You can do it. Only 5 more hours.
Got it, babe. All right. Well, Toy, we thank you. What was that?
Only another year until he can quit.
Hey. Oh God.
Yikes.
Maybe don't show your boss this one.
Quit
right, matchup
your
review.
addiction to alcohol.
All right. So where do we not have a dog in the fight?
Toilet bowl, toilet bowl, toilet bowl. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. We'll get there.
I guess
We
I'm a
won't
dog
start
in the
there.
fight.
We'll start here.
I guess I
we'll,
do
go,
have a dog.
we'll go here. All right, we have got totally forgot on who I clicked on. Half and half. Obviously, a dig at Dan versus Cole, who are neck and neck in the standings right now. 7th versus 8th. Two teams with very different outlooks and hopes for the future. Obviously Cole has those hopes for the future, but they probably aren't going to come to fruition. So who would like to walk us through? Actually, Mr. Miller, as resident closest to both of these, why don't you take it away?
I think it's interesting how many people have their team names as a dig against me. It's a little offensive. But with that being said, I think the gas can versus the Jets, Jalen Hurts has been on a heater. Shaw getting Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. He's got Mike Evans. Kyle Pitts has been overperforming. Devonta Smith, who he didn't play last week, thank God, actually in his starting lineup this week. I think it's going to be hard for Kadarius Toney, the Reddit legend, and Saquon coming back from the dead to put up close to the numbers that Shaw will. I've got Shaw on this one.
Yeah, I've looked at Cole's team and it struggles and pains me to think he can score over 100 points. But, James Robinson could get hot. He's going against San Francisco, who did just shut down the Rams, but who knows what D's going to show up there. Oh God, Toney versus Tampa Bay. I definitely have Shaw in this one. I like his matchups. Obviously, Mike Evans. As more and more Antonio Brown, Gronk, I don't know their status as those guys come back. There's more and more mouths to feed. That's an interesting one. And I also think that looking forward, he might be in a very, tough spot every week picking, do I start Devonta Smith or Tyler Lockett? I think that's going to be a tough pick for him. That's going to, lose sleep every Saturday night and potentially Monday night as he plays, maybe plays the wrong one or the right one. So that's my read. I got Shaw. Nick or Toy?
I got Shaw, and I think it's not going to be close. I think he's going to blow him out. James Robinson didn't practice today with a knee and a heel injury. Josh Jacobs was limited. Saquon was
on the bench.
I think he's going to struggle to fill his running back spots this week. I don't know if all three of them are going to play.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything new here. So I've also got Shaw, but I would like to add that good for Shaw for starting his guy, his quarterback, Jalen Hurts, all season. I'd like to make a deal with you, Dan, right now on the spot. If you start your guy, Mike White, for the rest of the season, I'll go and start my guy, Jordan Love, for the rest of the season. I mean, you were so adamant that he was going to be the best
Dan's
quarterback in the league.
See, I still have something to play for, so it's
Oh,
understandable.
perfect. So you're getting a great quarterback to start for your
Nick
team
said he
every
would
week,
even
right?
start Jordan Love if you start Joe Flacco.
There you go. You even get the starter.
I think Joe Flacco might honestly be the move over Mr. Limited and also Kyler, my short king, who refuses to get healthy. He announced today that he's almost there, which is the same thing he said 2 weeks ago. So
Just like your team.
Hey, my team's there. We're
Well,
all
What they
there.
have in common, though, is that Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers are both not vaccinated.
The flag attack?
The flag attack is not vaccinated.
Whoa.
You need to stay elite.
If I knew that, I wouldn't have gotten vaccinated either. I think Flacco knows something that we don't.
And that's why he is back on the Jets. All right, enough Jets talk. This one's going to be, all right, Nick. I know I said I wasn't going to go to a dog in the fight, but let's go over to you.
It's a garbage matchup. So the best part about this matchup is that Damian Harris, I think he practiced today. And I literally don't have a second running back to play. So I think we're going to be able to see a Patriots running back, both half concussed still type of matchup tomorrow. So that'll be kind of fun to watch. I think my team is better than Berg in every other position. So I will take my team.
If DeAndre Hopkins can't go, I've already said that. I've said the one about the top four, but if DeAndre Hopkins can't go, obviously Julio's out, so he's starting Cortland Sutton.
Sutton's on bye.
Sutton's on bye. So
Jones is out. Odell on bye. Chris
Oh my
Carson. Oh, Chris Carson
is on
has
IR.
he still has not practiced with contact yet.
Berg is allowed to drop Julio. Nobody will pick him up. Don't worry about that. If you take out DeAndre Hopkins and put somebody in his flex, right, that's probably not great, and you add them all up, their best weeks ever, how they probably win, but do they come close? Like against Berg's 158 that he put up against you last time, against the current players that he has in his lineup, their best fantasy weeks ever, could they score 158? He does have Mahomes, and Kittle's had some big weeks, but I think it's close. I just don't. His team does not have firepower. Nick, I've got you.
Yeah. I think this one's going to be a good one. I have a feeling this is going to be the largest point differential of the week. I've got Nick, and I think Berg might put up a season low this week.
I don't think so. 46 is tough.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the 46.
Who's the sorry chap that did that?
I don't know. Toy?
I got no, I got
Oh!
I got Nick. The other people on the podcast did not see the text message that I sent earlier today, but when I was making my power rankings, I had actually Berg at 11 and a team of current free agents at number 10. So,
Oh no!
Oh no. Here's my bold thought on this. I think Nick's playoff hopes are going to come down to the final week. I think Nick will be in it till the last week. Whether he makes it or not, I'm not going to prognosticate on that. But I do think Nick will be in it till the last week.
I played Chris the last week. Oh, so you're saying it doesn't matter if I won out? Like there still could be a chance.
Yes, you
didn't
will
make-
still be
Oh,
in
okay.
it. You still will be in it in week 14. There's a chance you might need some matchups to fall a certain way, but I think you will still be in it in week 14.
My points for is decent, so that helps me out. I mean, I took a big drop after 46, but
You win a couple
I jumped right back up.
Yeah, you win this one, you rattle off another one, you're right back in the mix.
Yeah.
Potentially. Dan doesn't seem to think so. He also thinks his team is scoring points, but that'll be the
Most
last.
points.
All right, let's keep moving along. Most points? No. What?
He said second most points.
No, you're not
Which-
that either.
Yes, I am.
No,
I'm
you're
second.
not.
No, for this past week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
I've
right.
never scored below 100 without DJ Moore.
Okay. And what did you say about your aunt recently?
Buddy, it doesn't work there. That's if I said something. Like if my team is something.
If you didn't have DJ Moore.
No, without DJ Moore, I have scored 100 points every time.
All right, I'm done talking about this. Let's move on to Ben and Chris. All right, who wants to lead us off here?
Everyone has claimed one matchup where they think it's going to be the most lopsided. I am picking this one. I think this one will be easily the most lopsided. Yeah, Chris stinks. He got kind of lucky there with Deebo. Mitchell like broke his finger. Deebo.
Today.
What?
He had finger surgery today.
Oh God.
He could play on Sunday.
Which could spice up Alex's team because he's got Jeff Wilson.
Got
That
Jeff
was
Wilson
a nice.
on the bench.
He's been holding on to him for a while. The boneheaded trade to get off of Tyler Lockett sort of worked, but it really didn't because it was just kind of trading garbage for garbage. So now he gets to gladly start Cole Beasley instead. The fun thing is I think AJ Dillon will do great in that lineup. He's projected for a ton of points. It would be like amusing to watch AJ Dillon sit on Ben's bench for 10 weeks now, and then he goes up and puts like 3. So just don't waste of a spot, but I don't think he will. I think he'll put up big numbers. Yeah, I got Ben.
I have Ben as well. The one interesting factoid here is Chris is very invested in 1, 2, 3, 4 games this weekend. He is all about the stack. 2 Tampa Bay, 2 San Francisco, 2 Buffalo, 2 Pittsburgh, and a Tennessee player. So if those teams go, Chris has a chance. So there's something to be said about the stack. I did not know Elijah Mitchell is doing that bad, but Deebo being used anywhere, I don't think, you can't keep it close against him. I think Chris will put up more points than we think. I don't think this will be the most lopsided one. Is Kamara good to go?
He practiced today, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good to go.
Okay. So, yeah, I got Ben.
I have Ben as well.
I'm taking Ben as well. Cole Beasley also did not practice today. I think he's got broken ribs. He only played, 6 snaps or 9 snaps or something in the last game. So that might be another spot to fill.
Don't worry, he has Emmanuel Sanders on his bench.
So if Cole Beasley and Elijah Mitchell don't go, he's playing Emmanuel Sanders and
Latavius Murray.
Yeah, because they said Clyde might not come back for several weeks now. I saw a report there on Reddit today.
Actually, he could move Zach Moss into the running back position, start Rob Gronkowski in the flex, have 3 Tampa Bay guys going. So Gronk isn't playing for the rest of the year. I don't know why he has him on.
He's not playing football again ever.
Yeah, he's got like 10 broken ribs.
All right. Let's go on to mine here. I will say this. As I went through my, when we drafted teams and I went and looked at, all right, what buys do I get? Do I get to buy against Derrick Henry? No, darn. Do I get a buy against Christian McCaffrey? No, darn. But somebody I did not think that I would be very happy to get a buy against, as Dan calls him, Booper Bup. I am very happy to not see Booper Bup on the other side of the lineup. I also think that getting Kelsey on my team this week could potentially put me over the edge to get the dub. I am going with myself this week. I like my matchups. I am in a pickle on whether to start Jalen Waddle against the Jets or Terry McLaurin against the Carolina Panthers. So that will be a game time decision. I'll let everybody know that. Very excited about my new additions to the team. So on to the next. What do you guys think?
This is a tough one, especially with Cooper Kupp out. But I don't know. I'm gonna take Luke here. I think Christian McCaffrey and James Conner are still gonna put up massive numbers. DK's not suspended, so and with Russell Wilson having another game under his belt from the finger injury coming back, we know Tyler Lockett's not gonna get those targets. And I think he's got the only tight end that can compete with Kelsey, where that's not just an absolute 10-point advantage at the tight end spot. I think I'm gonna go with the milkman here.
I'll jump on, and I'm also going to go with Luke this week. Amari Cooper has the best matchup against Kansas City. Pat Freiermuth, the Muth of Luth, had 2 touchdowns against Chicago. So I can only imagine Mark Andrews will double that. His sneaky play of Donta Foreman is great because Houston stinks. This McNichols guy, obviously, he's not getting any extra work post Henry injury. And Foreman has gotten more work and snaps every single week since that injury. I think that's something that only go up because they're not going to keep feeding a 37-year-old Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I think this is my matchup of the week. I think that, my heart wants the Milkman to win because a Peter loss and a Dan win puts me into a bye week. I don't know. I think this one is tough. I've got Peter, though.
The gravy train on Pete's got to run out eventually. He's put up some great numbers. Backed by
this week even
He's
though
also not starting a kicker yet.
True. Yeah, Matt Gay, your savior.
I know, put up 4 points last week. I got to get active on the waiver, just seeing what happens with some of my bench guys this week. Do we want to talk about the trade at all? Any reactions? Big trade this week. Number one.
I imagine that was going to be its own segment, but
all right.
The segment is now.
This is the segment because we're moving on to yours. We're moving on to your matchup.
All right.
So initial reactions as we start to make the move. Big, for those of you who weren't keeping up to date, Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, and Terry McLaurin ended up on Peter's team for the King's ransom of Jonathan Taylor and Chris Godwin. So that is what happened this week, if you weren't paying attention, Luke. But initial reactions.
Alex?
Well, I made the trade because I needed some consistency in my team. Too much boomer bust for me, and it has been busting too much over the last 3 weeks.
In No Nut November?
It's been busting a lot in No Nut November. Not Luke though. That guy's holding firm. I think Chris Godwin and Jonathan Taylor are going to be consistent in their about average points. So a 20 and a 14. I think it also lets me take Mike Williams out of my active lineup. A little stat: weeks 1 through 5, Mike Williams, WR2. Weeks 6 through 10, wide receiver 80. So it lets me put him on my bench. Especially with the tight end 3 out there on the waivers. It was nice. It was nice to pick up Hunter Henry. I don't know. I liked the consistency. I think Pete needed probably a little more boom to maybe pull him through the playoffs if he wants to take out Milk and Dan. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was in the trade though, so.
I was curious to hear your thoughts on it because, like I said, getting Kelce was obviously a big get, and so it was interesting to hear you walk through that. I know we've talked about it, but Nick or Dan, any thoughts on the trade, the big trade?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. I think it helps both teams. I don't think that it's going to change anything too drastically. I do think it's going to, in this matchup, hurt you, Toy, which we'll get into. I think, you're saying you don't want to play Mike Williams. Well, Cordarrelle Patterson probably is not going to play, so it might be Mike Williams back in action.
I'm putting Hunter Renfrow in there. Man is a walk-in 11.
Love that. But overall, I don't think it's going to change up too much of the league. Nick?
Yeah, I think Alex knows this, that he gave up more than he received, but I don't think that makes it a bad trade. I think it kind of fills a need. It was really nice for him to be able to also get Hunter Henry off of the waivers, who, like he said, is the number 3 guy. He gets tons of touchdowns. He's the go-to guy when they get to the red zone for Mac Jones. So I think having McLaurin has been very below par since Fitzpatrick got hurt. He got off of him, similar to me with Gibson, you didn't want to have too many people on that one team. So I thought the trade was fine. I think it helps both teams out.
All right, enough about the trade. This matchup. Dan,
Tori, I'd like to hear your thoughts first.
I'll take myself. Nick Chubb not practicing today, still got the Rona. So according to Dearness Johnson in a press conference today, has symptoms still. So we'll see.
Mild symptoms,
but that's gonna hurt your 2 negative tests.
He also said, Dearness Johnson said that Chubb's fine.
Additionally, I think because they're playing the Lions, if he's not 100%, there's really no reason for them to give him the lion's share of the work.
So I do think it's something to keep your eye on whether or not Chubb plays. I think that, so I did some research about when people usually come off the COVID list based off of when they go on. A lot of Mondays come off the following Wednesday. And if you go on a Wednesday, you often come off the following Saturday. So that puts Chubb, he went on it last Tuesday. He's likely to come off it Thursday or Friday. I still think they have him go, suit up and play. He is a force.
Are there any case studies that you know of on the running back front? Because the coronavirus COVID-19 obviously hurts your breathing. So would he be in enough shape? Has he been working out in quarantine to be ready to go to have the lion's share, even if he is cleared to play?
Yeah, so I did I ran some numbers on that, and he's been putting in a ton of work in his home in Cleveland. Individual workouts every single day.
All right, Toy, anything else that you want to share about the matchup?
I don't think Tyler plays this weekend either. I'm here in Arizona, and I got near to the ground. I'm hearing that people that see him out at like Scottsdale Fashion Square, or walking around town, that he's limping real bad.
That's a good insight right there.
Yeah.
I got Mr. Unlimited on my bench. Okay, so I think I'm just like the app says, I've got an advantage at about every position, and my quarterback and his quarterback is tied. It gave him the check mark out of pity. But I think if my guys go, there's no shot I lose this game. I think if Chubb plays, and in the off chance that Kyler plays, I don't expect him to, I think this will be a mortal lock.
Pete?
I am going to actually go with Toy on this one. And actually, I might do the same as last week. I'm going to go straight up with Toy because of the whole COVID thing with Chubb. The other thing that's interesting as well, just out of curiosity, what's the Q next to Devontae for?
Quality player.
Ribs, I think.
Ribs, okay. Jared Goff is likely to play Detroit this weekend, so they will likely be going with the backup of Tim Boyle, former Packer. And so I think obviously the game was in the rain last weekend, but we saw them pound the rock last week and tie a game. So I think they're going to unleash DeAndre Swift more. I believe Jamal Williams is back, so they'll get the 200 miles. So they had 2 other backs who scored massive touchdowns last week with a 40-yard run, another long run from the Detroit Lions. So Hawk did put up a 0. I see him not to put a 0 this week, but I am going to go with Toy in this one.
Oh, I thought I was going to be original, but I am also taking Alex. Let's go. We want him back on the podcast, Dan. Come on. But I actually think matchups wise, he's got some good ones. He gets Montgomery back, and he's a top 10 running back when healthy. Taylor on his team will do well. Tannehill versus Houston. Justin Jefferson is not the Vikings guy that always kills us. It's actually Adam Thielen. So Jefferson, 2 games against Packers last year in his rookie year, he put up 26 yards each time. So Packers seem to contain him. Thielen eats. So that's not a great matchup for him.
The only question that I have on that stat, does Jair shadow Justin Jefferson in that matchup?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would guess no.
Okay.
But yeah, like Alex said, even if Cordell Patterson doesn't play, he's got the walking 11, Mr. Renfro himself, to throw into his flex. So yeah, I'm going Alex.
Hey, Dan, just remember, hungry dogs run faster.
I don't need anyone's approval.
Yeah, we know. All right, so here are our picks from this week. We've got 4 Nicks. We've got 4 Bens. We've got 4 Shawls. We've got 2 toys, 2 Dan, or sorry, 3 toys, 1 Dan, 2 Milks, 2 Peters.
Wow.
Things are going to be an interesting shakeup here. And then as we wind down the pod here, here's how things went last week. I will tell you this much. I was watching the game, the end of the game, not the end of the game. I turned it on like third quarter and I started to look at, all right, which games were a lock. It was actually Sunday night that I did this. And I only went in here and I did a strike through on one matchup. That was Chris versus Ice, and I put the strike through on Chris versus Ice on everybody for picking Chris on Sunday night. So today, while I was prepping for the podcast, because I thought that was that was over, but obviously a Deebo miracle saved him, so it caused me a little extra work. But Shaw is now 7-3. Dan and Peter are 16-19 after Dan's 4-1 showing. And Nick, who questionable on his fantasy football managing skills, seems to be a top 5 prognosticator in the world when it comes to fantasy football matchups. So hopefully he will one day bring back those bangs because damn, they are sexy. There's some pretty cool birds there. Anywho, any thoughts as we close down the pod?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll be sure to return someday with my advanced analytics. Also, for those listening at home right now, Corbin Burns won the Cy Young.
Oh, let's go. That's big.
That's big.
Love that for the Brewers.
Hey, Toy, thank you for joining us. Thank you for also coming prepared. Everybody has their own thing when they come to the podcast. Obviously, you bring some sabermetrics. Shaw brings Let's Yell at Dan. I can't remember what other guests we have had on the podcast, but you were all fantastic. Maybe we'll get Chris on to help digest. Berg has just lost his right to be on the podcast. So the rest of you stay tuned. If you'd like to be on, please submit your application and cover letter to Nick and he will review it. So that being said, I Suck at Fantasy episode 8 over and out.
See ya.